Hi guys, welcome back to another video, or your first video here, I don't know. Welcome if you're new here, welcome either way. And this is my September, I was about to say unhaul, my September book haul. And I only bought, let me count. I only bought 10 books this month, so I'm really happy with that number. I really don't want to be accumulating huge numbers of books and then just exponentially not having room for them. Having shelf space is not something I'm used to, but let's get into it. So the first four, now this timing might not absolutely match up because I know that I read this one in August, but I'm hauling it in September. Anyway, I think that at the end of the month, I didn't quite have enough time to fit some of these in my August wrap up. I had to post it early, or at least I had to film it early because I was going away. Anyway, that's not important and not interesting. So I bought 4 comics from the artists Clamp. Essentially, there's a couple of manga artists, I think 4, possibly 4, who work together under the pen name of Clamp. And when I was in a charity shop, I saw these 4, and also these aren't ones that I feel are very common. They're not the most popular series, and therefore finding copies of them don't happen very often. So I thought if I really enjoy them, then I'd like to pick them up while I have the chance and not then be like, oh, I love this series, let me find it on eBay. Oh, it's £100 a volume. Oh well, not what I think these are, but anyway. The first one is the one I love, which is a series of short stories. I say more about it in my September wrap-up, or August wrap-up. You find that I didn't really like it, and this one will be donated right back to probably where I got it from. But yeah, this is a haul. Anyway. And then I have Magic Knights Rayearth, and I have all 3 volumes here. And I think this is a series about a couple of girls being taken to another world and have to become knights, essentially. And yeah, I will be very interested to read these and see what I think. The next 2 are some poetry collections that I read a little while ago, both of Sappho's poetry. So if you don't know who Sappho is, she is an ancient Greek poet. She was named the 10th Muse, and she is very famous from a lot of her poetry featuring sapphic relationships, which is where we get that word from. And yeah, I really enjoy her poetry. I wanted copies of these 2 because I really enjoyed it, and I bought these while I was at Gaze the Word in London, which is the UK's only LGBT bookstore, or the biggest, or the longest running. No, there was definitely one I went to in Manchester. So there is more than one in the UK. Anyway, probably the longest running then. But essentially, I really enjoyed these and I wanted copies. So we have If Not Winter, Fragments of Sappho, and Stung with Love, Poems and Fragments. Really enjoyed both of these. Also, this one is more of a, like, something I find really interesting is that it has the Greek, how it was presented when it was being translated. Like, I don't know if you can see that. And you have all the gaps and stuff. So it really shows how little we have left, because so much of it was stored in the Library of Alexandria and that got burnt down. So that one is more, not a commentary on how much or how little of the poetry we have, but really shows that and really goes into some of the context of the poems. But this one I really enjoy. It doesn't have all the poems, it has some of them, but this one more goes into the context, like where these poems might have been used, what we can glean from them, what we can't know about them, what certain academics have tried to say about Sappho using their own, using their own biases. So like trying to figure out ways that they can make her straight and say, no, this was just strong female friendship and stuff like that, to the point where I think the most funny anecdote of the whole thing was where there was a bunch of academics who were like, this man was her lover, blah, 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 this had to be the case, blah, blah. And like, they weren't even in the same century, but they just were like, they needed a man to be her lover so bad so that she wouldn't be seen as this lesbian icon. But anyway, this was great. Next, on to a couple of play scripts that I got. I got these two. So I got A Little Night Music and South Pacific. This one I actually picked up when I was seeing South Pacific and they were selling the play script. I love that they're doing that now. That is so great in my opinion. And essentially these are two musicals that I'm interested in reading. This one because I really want to study the text and see how it was changed from the production that I saw, and also how different things have landed. Like this one, I know this is a book haul and you probably don't really care, but this one, the way that it was described to me, like I hadn't seen the movie, I hadn't read anything into the plot before actually seeing it, and I went with some family members who were all very familiar with the story, and the way that it was sold to me and described to me was this epic love story between these two characters. And like I got to the point in the story where I was like, this girl is a bitch. She's awful. I mean, she's racist for one, but like, she's flip-flopping between her emotions and she's so easily influenced. I'm like, I don't like her at all. And she was presented as this ultimate love interest. And I was like, is that how it was in the text? Or maybe were the directors sort of making some sort of commentary? I really want to know, so I'm interested to see about this. And then this one by Stephen Sondheim and Hugh Wheeler, I'm just really interested to see. I've heard that this story is really beautiful and I can't wait to read it. Next is one that I read while in school and I really have fond memories of it. I thought it was really good, and that is I Am David by Anne Holm. So this book follows a boy essentially escaping from a concentration camp in order to find his mother, and we follow him on a journey and how he slowly learns about the outside world outside of this concentration camp. I thought that this was just such an impactful story and I really enjoyed it. One of my fondest memories actually from the reading experience of this is where we were given essentially a piece of homework, which was like a map, and we had to map onto it the route that the character David took. And I thought that this was due in for the next week, so I essentially reread the book to find all these place names and like map it out, and I handed it in and they were like, no, this was a homework that was meant for like when we finish it as a class. But she was so just like she was so just like, oh, I'm so sorry, Cara, that you've put all this effort in and, you know, well done. But like, I just, you know, I really enjoyed it. As I said, I've read it 2 times now, but yeah, I saw it and I was like, you know what, I want to have a copy of that. I have such strong memories of it, so I bought this. And the final book in this haul is a Trudi Canavan called Last of the Wilds. And this is part of the Ace of the Five trilogy. So I really love Trudi Canavan's writing style in the fantasy genre. And I now have almost all the books in her series. No, this was the last one that I was missing. So essentially this follows magicians and thieves guilds and I just love it so much. I really need to continue on and read, what's the next book that I need to read? The Novice. But yeah, sometimes that length can be a bit intimidating. How big is this? 614 pages. I'll get through it, but I am really, really looking forward to this. I remember when I read the first book, The Magician's Guild, I was reading it by audiobook with my dad in the car, and there was one point where he was dropping me off at my job and I was so like enthralled by the story, and like I was so angry at the cliffhanger we had to leave at that I honestly considered buying the audiobook again so that I could listen to it at work and find out what happened next. Like I was so enthralled by it. And there you have it. Those are all the books that I bought. I'm really happy that I'm not sort of overloading my shelves and going absolutely bananas, but I'm glad that I'm not buying too many books. And there you have it. Please let me know about a book that you've hauled recently. I'd love to hear about it down in the comments, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.